Farhan. Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to welcome you to this very special occasion. I'm delighted and most grateful that so many of the Centre's friends and well-wishers have been able to come together to mark the inauguration of our new building. In doing so, we are also marking a stage in the development of the idea on which the Centre is based and to which it remains committed. That idea is simply this: for people divided by culture to coexist peacefully needs, as well as lots of goodwill, a lot of the right kind of personal and institutional effort. Coexistence is sustainable only with the effort to get and share knowledge about each other that we are willing to trust. Since our knowledge is framed within cultural perspectives, it needs a further effort to allow those perspectives to encounter and interrogate each other. That holds the promise that such encounter can be mutually enriching, that cultural divisions can turn out to be as negotiable and permeable as disciplinary boundaries. The Centre was founded to realize that promise, to craft an institutional space where the study of Islam and the Muslim world is pursued from diverse intellectual and cultural perspectives. Scholarly effort is necessarily set back from the momentum of current events, but it is not immune to current events, and over time, it influences their momentum through its influence on ideas and attitudes. Thus, the Centre has also aspired, albeit modestly, to contribute through conscientious scholarship to improving understanding between the Islamic world and the West. The idea of the Centre grew some 30 years ago out of debates between colleagues, friends, and mentors. Looking back, I wonder at my naivety in believing that it would be easy to combine a postdoctoral fellowship at St. Cross with working for the Centre. As it turned out, year by year, the time I could give to my own research and teaching diminished inexorably. Alongside the public hope that this inauguration represents, I gladly admit to a private hope that I may at last get time to do and write up my own historical research. That too would be significant progress. The years leading up to this moment in the Centre's history have seen setbacks and challenges, as well as successes. We could not have come this far without the goodwill and optimism of all those who have shared our values and objectives. It is right to begin by remembering those among the founding trustees who did not live long enough to see their vision embodied in these buildings. I would mention in particular our founding chair, Sheikh Abul Hassan Ali Nadwi. My friend in this journey has been David Browning, Fellow of St. Cross and the Centre's registrar until his retirement in 2010. His unwavering commitment to the future of the Centre, his experience and wise counsel were a vital resource that I could always count on. Similarly, Basil Mustafa and more recently, Richard Makepeace have been reliable colleagues. My thanks to them and to all colleagues at the Centre for their dedication and consistent support. The academic staff of the center, past and present, have devoted themselves through their teaching, research, and publications to the center's core objective of contributing to scholarship about the Islamic world. Many academics from around the world have participated in our seminars, lectures, and conferences. Visiting fellows and scholars have enriched our debates, and colleagues around the university have given generously of their time and expertise. All deserve our heartfelt thanks. It is important to remember that optimism for the center was from the outset reciprocated by senior members of the university and council. Beginning with Sir Geoffrey Warnock, when he was the Vice Chancellor and the idea was first put forward. Subsequently, Lord Neil, when in 1985 the center was formally set up as an associated academic institution. Sir John Hood, when in 2006 we became a recognized independent center of the university, through to the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Louise Richardson. A major milestone in the life of the center was the gracious consent of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales to become its patron. In his landmark lecture on Islam in the West in 1993, and in other places, he argued forcefully for the need to counter narrow-minded suspicions with a generous trust in the natural disposition of human beings not to choose conflict, but instead to opt for coexistence. That choice draws upon the biological and historical reality of a shared single ancestry and its likely meaning. What human individuals and cultures have in common is greater than what differentiates them. His Royal Highness has been conscientious in following the center's work, taking a keen interest in the progress of the building, and especially in the realization of the designs for the Prince of Wales Gardens. The center's very first premises did not have a garden. The center graduated from my living room to the wooden hut rented from St. Cross, where College 2 had started life. We all retain very fond memories of that hut and its grounds. It had not a few royal visitors, including our patron. Your Royal Highness, the existence of the building that you will inaugurate today is owed in great part to the enthusiastic support of Anthony Smith, then president of Magdalen, who persuaded College to make this site available. The concern of the president and fellows of Magdalen for the designs and their proper implementation were invaluable during the planning approval phase. It is a great pleasure for me to record the help of successive Lord Mayors of Oxford, in particular, the late Maureen Christian, and our local members of Parliament and city councillors. All of them recognized what the building could bring to the city and were active in arguing for it. As the building began to take physical form, public response to it became increasingly positive. That is a tribute to the architect's adept interpretation of his brief. Professor Al-Wakil's designs juxtapose and blend the styles of the classical Islamic madrasa and the typical Oxbridge College. The buildings do, as intended, accommodate the coming together in one connected space of the scholarly traditions of the Islamic and Western worlds. Islamic crafts and motifs are evident in many features of the buildings, but so too are the materials and skills traditional to this city and this country. Thank you, Professor Al-Wakil, and Clive Naylor and Amriyad and all the team. The importance of encouraging coexistence between the worlds of Islam and the West is self-evident. The Center's commitment to that goal has been recognized in the award in 2012 by Her Majesty the Queen of a Royal Charter. We need to broaden our knowledge and understanding of our histories, ideals, and values. Identifying common ground enables us to overcome ignorance and suspicions. It enables us to view differences positively as part of the wider inheritance of human civilization. The Center remains firmly committed to providing a space where scholars of diverse disciplinary and cultural backgrounds can study Islam and the Muslim world from their specialist perspectives and thereby challenge and enrich each other's understanding. The new building embodies that firm commitment. It provides the facilities for the activities of the Center to intensify and expand. Indeed, the improved potential presents a challenge to us all to rededicate ourselves to the Center's broader goals. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to need your engagement and good counsel. Seeing all of you here today gives me confidence that the Center has many friends, people of goodwill who endorse its objectives. As in the past, it is your support that will sustain our work into the near and far future and continue to make a reality, inshallah, of the vision of its founders. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum. Patron, Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to speak to you this afternoon on behalf of my co-chair, Dr. Abdullah Nassif, who unfortunately cannot be with us today, and all the other trustees. And I thank you all most warmly for joining us on this important day for the Oxford Centre for Islamic Studies. Many of our guests have traveled from afar. Your presence and the worldwide support it shows for the Centre's work is greatly appreciated. Welcome to the Centre and to Oxford. I express the warm gratitude of all the trustees to our patron for the support and encouragement which you, sir, have given unstintingly to the Centre for nearly a quarter of a century. You have delivered 2 lectures under our auspices here in Oxford. You have followed closely the progress of the building to be inaugurated today. You have taken a personal interest in the design of the garden which bears your name. Back in 1993, you inaugurated the Centre's distinguished lecture series with a memorable lecture, Islam and the West, an eloquent and prescient appeal for understanding. Since you spoke those words, the need for dialogue and open-mindedness has never seemed more pressing. Many senior statesmen have followed in your footsteps as guest lecturers at the Centre. We're hugely grateful for your patronage, which means a great deal to us and is widely recognized internationally. And we were deeply honored also by the grant of the Royal Charter in 2012 by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. There are many other people to whom thanks are due today for enabling the Centre's academic development and the creation of this magnificent new building, which will be the focus of its work for generations to come. I think of the leadership of the university, who embraced the creation of the Centre when it was first proposed to Council, and have encouraged it ever since. That cooperation has grown in importance and, I believe, in mutual benefit. We're proud of this center's association with the University of Oxford, but proud also to be rooted in the city of Oxford. I hope that the building to be inaugurated today will be a welcome addition to the rich variety of Oxford architecture, and that it will be appreciated by both town and gown. I should also mention the important role played by all my fellow trustees, past and present, who have given generously of their time to guide the center's work, and to those in Oxford, nationally and internationally, who have freely offered their advice and guidance. Many of you are present here today. You know how crucial your wisdom and insights have been for the creation of this unique institution and the growth of its impact and contribution. Many have assisted and encouraged along the way as trustees and indeed fellows and staff at the center. But I should express in particular the appreciation of the board to those, including the founding trustees, who were there at the start. They saw the promise of an idea and worked to bring it to fruition, pioneering the creation of the center and patiently assembling the team and resources required to develop its work. Without their vision, ambition, and determination, we would not be attending this event today. Dr. Farhan Nizami deserves all the plaudits for his unstinting devotion to making the center what it is today, a functioning and contributing addition to our patrons' efforts to bring understanding and respect between human beings, whatever their beliefs and ethnic origins. The aim of the trustees was also to create a unique physical space for the exchange of ideas and insights across cultures and traditions. The building to be inaugurated today. Happily, this idea caught the imagination of many fair-minded people around the world. We have been fortunate to receive generous support from the institutions and individuals worldwide which has enabled this project. The support of the heads of state of many countries and is much appreciated, those who are here and those who are absent. Special thanks go to the late King Fahd of Saudi Arabia, whose initial grant allowed for breaking the ground of this construction on this site. The trustees and generations of future scholars owe you, our benefactors, a great deal. I should also recognize our debt to our chief architect, Professor Abdul Wahid Al-Wakil, who is responsible for the designs of this unique, remarkable building. His tutoring of the construction engineers on how to build the dome of the mosque was the highlight of the construction phase. I'm sure he will tell you all about it. Turning a vision into a reality has been a mammoth task over many years. It has been a huge commitment, and very many people have played their part. I hope they share the trustees' pride in what has been achieved. The building provides all the facilities needed, but to make the most of this involvement and investment, we also need to enable the center to expand its academic programs with additional scholarships and fellowships and more funding for research and outreach. We are entirely reliant on the generosity of our friends. The presence of so many senior guests is the reassurance that there are many who share our vision and commitment. I do hope that some of you will be inspired to go further and that the center will gain new friends and supporters to assist it in taking forward its vital work. Thank you all once more for your presence with us here today. I do hope you will enjoy the opportunity, for those of you who have not yet visited, to see more of the center for yourselves after this ceremony. It is an honor to welcome you all at this special moment in the development of an institution with which I have been proud to be associated for many years. Now it is my great pleasure and honor to invite our patron, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, to deliver his inaugural address. Thank you.
Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Salam alaikum. After 24 years as patron, I could not be more delighted to join you all for the inauguration of this outstanding new home for the Oxford Centre for Islamic Studies. That so many distinguished figures have travelled so far to be here, and that many more have sent such heartfelt messages of support for the occasion, is, I think, a testament to the strength of the friendships the Centre has forged during the 32 years of its existence, and, if I may say so, to the enduring significance of the values upon which the Centre was founded. Over these past 3 decades, so many of you here today have encouraged the Centre's work and contributed to its success. I'm sure that each of you shares my pride in what has been accomplished. Today is an opportunity both to celebrate everything that the Centre has so far achieved and to demonstrate our collective commitment to its continued success in the years ahead. Now, those of you who like me, have been associated with the Centre for many years will perhaps recall its modest first home, which was the famous wooden hut on St. Cross Road. You will also recall, as I do, the ambitions of its founders, even then, to contribute significantly to scholarship, both in Oxford and more widely. Against the 1,000-year history of learning in this city, the 32-year span of the entire project seems very short indeed. And yet, there is little doubt that in those few decades, the Centre has opened up so many important new perspectives and new avenues for scholarly collaboration in the study of Islam and the Islamic world. It was therefore a source of particular pride for so many of us that this extraordinary contribution was recognized at the highest level in 2012 through the grant of a Royal Charter by Her Majesty the Queen. Of course, the long road that the Centre has travelled from its humble beginnings has not been navigated by chance. It has taken remarkable courage and determination, and above all, the clearest of visions for how this Centre could take its place in Oxford and in the wider world of Islamic scholarship. For that, the trustees, the director, in the form of the indefatigable Dr. Farhan Nizami, and all his colleagues are most deserving of the warmest praise. So too are all those among the leadership of the university whose foresight in embracing, as they did at the very outset, the establishment of the Centre has been so splendidly justified. None of this would have been possible without the generosity of a large number of countries, institutions, and individual donors from all around the world. Many of you are with us in person or are represented here today, and I can only say my heartfelt thanks goes to you all. It is not simply these remarkable buildings that will stand as testament in perpetuity to your generosity, but the learning and scholarship that will take shape within these walls and resonate far beyond them. Today, the sense of ambition upon which the Centre was founded remains undimmed. Indeed, I am pleased to say that the Centre continues to set its sights ever higher and is determined to develop and extend the range of its activities. So I could not be more delighted that it now has as its home a building that is at last worthy of that ambition, following years of determined and dedicated work to realize the exceptional architectural vision of Abdel Wahed al-Wakil. It requires, ladies and gentlemen, extraordinary skill and sensitivity to design a new building, drawing distinctively from the architectural traditions of classical Islam, that can immediately appear so completely at home alongside the celebrated and historic university buildings of Oxford. And yet, to many of you here today, this will of course be no surprise. The traditional form of the centre, with its combination of interconnected courtyards, halls, spaces for learning, reflection and prayer, being every bit as familiar historically to the Islamic world as it has been to Oxford colleges for the last 8 centuries. This blending of styles, this symbolism, narrates a wider and vital message about the blending of culture and faith in contemporary British society to produce a cohesive and unified whole of which we can all be immensely proud. Oxford was, of course, the first university established in England, as any member of the university is only too ready to point out, and has come in many people's minds to epitomize the British, indeed the European, popular concept of what a university should be. But some scholars, such as the late George Macdesy, have argued that the rise of the university in Christian Europe was shaped in part by European encounters with the Islamic Near East and North Africa. And Edward Gibbon famously mused in The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire on the consequences for Oxford's quads and dreaming spires if the forces of Muslim Spain had triumphed at the Battle of Tours in 732. These buildings have been built to last and to age gracefully and, above all, beautifully, using traditional materials and crafts. Clear evidence that we have the skills to achieve such things when we have the will. And this is why I've been so determined over all these years to support traditional crafts and design across the Islamic world through my School of Traditional Arts and more recently my Turquoise Mountain Institute for Arts and Architecture, and indeed my Foundation for Building Community. Time and again, I have seen how the dignity of the craftsmen is reflected in the buildings they produce, and how this centre embodies the goals and values of those who work within it, of dialogue, understanding, and connection. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there has perhaps never been a greater need for cultural connectivity. In the world in which we now live, with fears about the other, whether that be Sunni, Shia, Jew, Christian, Yazidi, Hindu, or Buddhist, stoked and spread through social media and amplified by those who would seek to suppress understanding rather than promote it, there is an urgent need for calm reflection and a genuinely sustained, empathetic, and open dialogue across boundaries of faith, ethnicity, and culture. The discontents and the anxieties of our age are not all imaginary. They often have their basis in material inequities, a lack of social justice, and a retreat into what that great and visionary Arab historian Ibn Khaldun, some 600 years ago, identified as azabiya, a communal solidarity that can be a force for good or bad. Another great historian, Max Weber, also at a moment of civilizational conflict and turmoil, would reflect 100 years ago on the consequences of misplaced communalism for the exercise of power. All this remains urgent and relevant for us today, when the challenges we encounter across the globe are often similar and similarly great. If we are to face the anxieties of our age with equanimity, we need disinterested inquiry, serious scholarship, and a spirit of rigorous and humane partnership. That, it seems to me, ladies and gentlemen, is at the heart of what the Oxford Centre for Islamic Studies should represent, in this city above all. The quads and gardens of Oxford's colleges, the courts and gardens of the Alhambra, the courtyards and gardens of these new buildings are all analogous to the classical architectural traditions of Greece, Rome, and Persia. They reflect an adaptation from common origins and shared ideas of harmony, views of the relationship between humans and the physical world, and the purposeful differentiation of space. All of the great religions have thought deeply about these matters because they reflect such fundamental choices about the way in which we live our lives and relate to others. We need, then, to rediscover and explore what unites rather than what divides us. And that involves a recognition that we have all learned from each other and should continue to do so. No one culture contains the complete truth. We are all seekers, and our search is, or should be, a collective human enterprise. That this centre could perhaps play just the smallest part of this enterprise is my greatest wish. So, although today is undoubtedly a moment for celebration, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure the trustees would not wish me to give the impression that our work is now done or that the centre can afford to rest on its laurels. This is not an end of the story. It is just the beginning of a new chapter. In the years ahead, the centre must build upon what has been achieved, prepare to meet new challenges, and ambitiously pursue new opportunities. It seems to me, Your Majesty, Your Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, that as it looks to the future, the centre has a clear mission to promote dialogue and understanding. I hope that today you will join me in reaffirming our shared commitment to that goal, and in so doing, our commitment to the centre's continued success in the years ahead.
Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the moment has now arrived. You will have the chance to see the building. May I request all the guests to take either that entrance at the back, which will take you straight onto the building, or this one, and join us for today in a celebration of the new building. From tomorrow, the challenge starts.
Please like, subscribe and share.